My name is Sandra Edwards. I'm a 100% Vietnam veteran. I used to work at the United States Postal System and went out on disability due to aggravation to my service-connected disability in 1990. However, in 2010, after being on disability for almost 20 years, I was ordered to go to see Dr. Michael Prudent in Atlanta, Georgia for a second opinion diagnosis. After this examination, I received a letter dated April 15, 2011, and telling me that Dr. Prudent had determined that my disability had ceased, and he called it major depression, prolonged depressive reaction had ceased, which I had never been diagnosed that way the entire 20 years I had been on disability. My accepted condition was for major depression episode. This letter is dated 1991. This one is also dated 1991, which states above resulting from your employment injury major depression episode. When I requested a copy of the second opinion report, I was told by Dr. Prudent that he had shredded this report. When I asked for a copy from the claims examiner, he told me I could not have it, but that they could send it to the private doctor I was seeing. Yet he got on the phone, called the doctor, told him by no means let me see it or have a copy. However, the Veterans Administration assisted me in getting a copy, and lo and behold, Dr. Prudent did a second opinion evaluation on a diagnosis that was 35 years old. It was not even my accepted condition. He got this information from my claims examiner, Mr. Darrell Parker at OWCP, who back in 2010, prior to this, had tampered with my medical information, sending another doctor the wrong diagnosis, which was how I was able to figure out something was not right. This is a form that was sent to a doctor in North Carolina, and he used depressive reaction. When I asked him where it came from, he said my medical record. But for 18 years prior to seeing this new doctor, it had never happened before. And then all of a sudden, it is part of the same diagnosis that was sent to Dr. Michael Prudent. And even though Dr. Prudent had ample medical information from the Veterans Administration, he had medical records from a doctor, a private doctor I had seen for 18 years, other private doctors, and I have been under psychiatric care for a total of 37 years. He determined that I was ceased and it was no longer injury related, even though in our conversation for that 45 minutes, I discussed extreme anger and discussed with the United States Postal System. I recorded the conversation. I had a tape recorder in my purse. There were several things that were relevant to my disorder that he never mentioned in his report. This is a copy of a medical report from a Dr. Abraham Goldstein when I went out on disability, which stated major depression recurrent. This was a letter from a private doctor I had seen in Georgia, which states that my disability is a lifetime disorder. This is the doctor that I had seen in North Carolina, whom he sent the claims examiner sent the wrong diagnosis, but they went on to diagnose me anyway, the same as the other doctors had, with a lifetime disorder. This is a doctor from Alabama that I had seen who stated that my disorder, which includes post-traumatic stress disorder, both job-related in nature and ongoing in symptomology, she is not able to maintain employment. This is a letter from the doctor I had seen for 18 years. The last line states, Ms. Edwards' condition is chronic and in her prognosis is poor. It is unlikely that there will be any significant change in the future. In my opinion, Ms. Edwards is not safe to return to any environment. This letter was written February 4th, 2009 to a supervisor at the Department of Labor in Jacksonville, where the claims examiner works, who had tampered with my medical information. This is the reconsideration that was done. An appeal had to be done, which lasted from May until December before I was reinstated as a result of what Dr. Prudent did. Even though he had ample and excellent medical information about my condition, he completely ignored it because he felt I would never get to see a copy of the medical report and fully understand what had happened to me. I lived in a hotel from May until December. I was extremely ill. I was without medical care or sufficient medication. I lost my vehicle. My credit was totally destroyed. And even today, I am still very much unbalanced, trying to make some sense of my life. I lived by a routine. I can't seem to get that routine back. I spoke with Dr. Prudent in October, who seemed very concerned at the fact that I had gotten my hands on this report and wanted to amend it, but they would not allow him at OWCP to amend this report. I am deeply disturbed at the fact that Dr. Prudent, is a doctor who took a Hippocratic oath to protect the most vulnerable set of patients in America other than children, and he totally ignored the seriousness of my illness and what the repercussions could have been. I could have committed suicide. He totally did not care what happened to me as a patient, and I'm very confused and concerned by that, and I'm also concerned if this is a systematic pattern that is happening to other veterans in the Southern District of the United States. I could not understand how he had no human compassion for me as a patient. To have read my medical information and never questioned it one time, never contacted OWCP and said to them, the medical information does not match the diagnosis you sent me. Something is terribly wrong here. Instead, it appears that he went along with what was happening regardless of what would happen to me. Why is it that a veteran is only important when everyone is afraid? Why is it that a veteran is not important when no one needs a hero? I'm asking that all veterans, if you hear this, to please contact your news, MSNBC, call Ed on MSNBC to complain about what has happened, and contact the Georgia Medical Board and complain about Dr. Michael Prudent. He does, obviously, the second opinion exams for anyone who lives in Georgia who possibly had worked for the United States Postal System. I feel like this is a tragedy. I feel like the simple fact that they reinstated me, they did not agree with his second opinion, and everyone was willing to just stand around. And if I had never gotten a copy of the medical report, I don't think anybody would have cared about what happened to me, not only as a person, a mental patient, but a veteran. And there are thousands of veterans who work for the United States Postal System who have issues that fall under mental. Who is it that can speak for us? Who is it that is willing to step out there and see that something is done to protect veterans who would like to work, who try to work, and when they're not able to work, that they're not protected by the very system that all veterans protect? So I'm asking anyone who hears this report to please contact the Georgia Medical Board and complain about Dr. Michael Prudent. There's something that goes against the grain when it comes to what he did. He's supposed to be someone you can trust, like a police officer. And when a doctor does something like this, where do you go? Where is the bottom? Like I said, his entire report was conflicting. The entire report was conflicting. But because they thought I would never see it, who was going to question it? So now that I have, if there's anyone out there who has lost their disability for mysterious reasons, please try and get a copy of your report and go get an attorney if you are under the jurisdiction of Jacksonville, Florida. And, you know, for Dr. Prudent, I would like to ask, where was your obligation to me as a patient to question the validity of a diagnosis sent to you against the medical information you have from a private doctor I have seen for 18 years and veterans records? Then you even mentioned my correct diagnosis. It didn't matter what OWC sent you. You had a ethical obligation to question, not only because it didn't matter that you were their client. For that 30 minutes, I was your patient, and the Hippocratic Oath should have mattered. OWCP wanted to terminate my disability. Did that take precedence over my health and could have cost me my life by suicide? Was that more important than me as a patient? I just don't know. My whole life has been destroyed and turned upside down. I don't know when I will ever get that balance back that so many doctors have worked so hard to give me. My life may not have been normal, but I would trade my life to be normal, what people consider normal, for one day. And if I had the choice to be normal, I definitely couldn't do anything to hurt anybody who has a mental disability. Thank you.